You'll be surprised at what I found. Many people didn't notice this. Today, I will tell you what happened to the Titans and assess their chances of survival. I will also address the question of whether the G-Men have been robots throughout the series, or if this is a different version of them. If this is not the real G-Men, then where is he and what happened to him? I will answer many more questions, so I recommend watching the video from start to finish so you don't miss important details. The series begins with a scene where a policeman takes the lives of cameramen. You may notice three important details. Firstly, the agents lack any signs of humanity. They only resemble sparks. We've only seen blood on them once before, indicating that cameramen can be divided into two types, those created from scratch as robots and others as cyborgs. Secondly, if you take your attention away from the policeman himself, you will notice that he is not the same as he looked in previous episodes. He's almost a distorted version. Thirdly, pay attention to our character's hand. This is the same co-Mormon in the red shirt that we have seen in many episodes. This means that he miraculously managed to escape from the police, although if you look closely, he had one unused bullet left. Thus, it seems that the policeman acted quite deliberately in saving his life. But the question remains, why did he make this choice? I'll tell you soon. Moving on, we encounter many Skibidists and menacing-looking forces. Many of these characters have appeared in previous episodes. However, the tension increases even more when the diffusion intensifies and reveals the scientists SKIBIDI. A little later, we see G-Men being chased by Titans. And now comes the moment that we have all been eagerly awaiting, when we finally become witnesses to the confrontation between the army of Skibidists and Titans. But then something unexpected happens. During the first viewing, it seemed that G-Men was being set up. However, the reality is much more complex than it seems. By the way, this location is an abandoned airport. We previously saw the same airport in episode 60, but from a different angle. Following these events, the G-Men displays exceptional power and unleashes it on the Titan scientist in an incredibly epic fashion. We saw a similar example in episode 40, but here he is, consumed by anger, rather than being in a positive state. It's also worth noting that the blow to G-Men's head was most likely intentional, as the speaker began screaming in his ear as soon as G-Men's headphones came off. Next, we come to the moment when the speaker tried to flush the toilet, but his efforts were unsuccessful. We already saw in episode 22 that G-Men cannot be washed off. However, it is important to note that in episode 65, a closer look suggests that it may have been washed away, as evidenced by the minor scale in episode 22. This is another argument to support my theory that there may be multiple versions of G-Men. I will try to explain this theory in more detail soon as I have some intriguing thoughts to share with you on this matter. After being hit by the laser, the Speakerman was able to manually defend himself and found himself in a situation similar to Tivmodatan's. I believe that without Cameron's intervention, G-Men would have been able to defeat the speaker. However, the cunning Chamberman dealt G-Men a decisive blow, putting him out of action. By the way, some viewers may wonder how Jetpack continues to fly and does not fall, since he seems to rely solely on his right side. The fact is that G-Men has always had the ability to fly, even without these additional devices. The backpack primarily serves to increase his speed and maneuverability. After a few more hits, we see the G-Men without armor and the ability to use a laser. In the final version of the series, Diffuge decided to reveal the weaknesses of the fake G-Men later in the series, which I will elaborate on. Here we come to the most exciting moment of the episode, when after a series of brutal blows, we discover that inside the G-Men's armor is another Skimbidden with an exoskeleton and laser attachments for eyes. Did the real G-Men never die? And all this time robots were watching us? Now let's dive into the strikes themselves, and how they caused so much damage to the G-Men with just one hit. In this shot, you can see these spikes that weren't there before. He waves his arms and these thorns appear. This is an unusual ability that I have seen. There is blood visible among the hundreds of blows, which leads me to the theory that the real G-Men could have been destroyed. What we are seeing could be the lifeless body of the real G-Men, being controlled from the inside by another Skimbidist. Also, I have an older theory that suggests that it may not be real blood, but a very exact copy of G-Men, implying that the real G-Men may be imprisoned. I understand that this may seem very strange to some of you, but I will explain everything in more detail. Suddenly, the Titans raise their heads, and we witness several fires occurring simultaneously, as well as a significant amount of flammable material. To be honest, I couldn't find any convincing evidence that it was acid, but most likely it was some kind of explosive. However, this does not affect the main discussion. In the same scene, someone on the left shoots at one of the boarders, presumably to ensure a successful explosion. The impact was so strong that visibility was impaired. I tried to determine any hidden scenarios or forces associated with this event, but there were no such clues. Next, you may notice the boom behind the car, directly behind it and not inside it. But most likely, Defuk is most likely trying to help in some way. Moving further, we encounter a cameraman who attracts our attention. Firstly, the lens on the main camera is cracked. Secondly, there are electrical charges around, indicating problems in certain parts of the body. Third, his core is flashing, which is an ominous sign. In addition, his right arm was torn off. You may remember that he previously faced the problem of losing his left arm. It looks like history is repeating itself. However, this time he does not run away from the battle, as happened in the 20th episode. In his current state, he lacks the strength to escape. From the sounds in his raised hand, you can understand that he is in critical condition. The main question that arises is what will happen next to the Titans. I have 3 possible scenarios for this. Or the Titan Speakerman can help Cameraman, and together they may be able to escape before the Skybidists return to capture them. Or Speakerman Titan will fly away alone, since he may not help Cameraman. In case it is difficult for both Titans to fly away, there are 2 options. First, Tivmotitan helps them both and takes them to safety. The second option is that they will be captured by Skibidists. I would like to give you another idea. What if they are still in custody? In this case, in future seasons, we may witness Tivno Titan 2.0, and perhaps another new Titan embark on a journey to find the captured Titans and take revenge on the Skibidists. Now, let's conclude my second theory regarding G-Men. If you do not take into account the presence of blood and consider him only a very exact copy of Skibidi Shashlik, then it becomes clear why Sosors from the 60th episode wanted to eliminate G-Men. It is very likely that all the Skybidists were eager to hold the G-Men accountable, since their army has strict rules. The real G-Men is likely imprisoned due to his significant loss in episode 57, resulting from his retreat on the battlefield. There may have been a revolution in the Skibidist army, prompting them to elect a new leader, potentially the scientist Skibidi, hence their attempts to destroy the G-Men. A scientist known for his cunning has developed a plan to defeat the Titans, and perhaps there was an unspoken agreement between the scientist and the G-Men. The scientist could have quietly created a double of himself and set up this trap without the real Skibi Kebab. In the eyes of the Skybidist army, it might seem that the G-Men were sincerely abandoned, just as they wanted. However, perhaps only the scientist was honored with such an arrangement, which is why he prevented the murder of the G-Men in episode 60 and devised this ingenious plan to save his friend while fulfilling his duty to win the war. My explanation of this last theory may seem a little complicated, as it is quite confusing and complex and according to my opinion. I hope I was able to convey the main idea of what I wanted to tell you. If you are interested in a more complete analysis of my theories and analysis of Skibidi toilets in future episodes, please like and subscribe to the channel. This way I will know that you value me. Thank you for watching to the end.